looking for something. A new way, a new understanding, a connection, some comfort. You've got questions, and Light on Living puts the spotlight on all the answers so you can shine. Lift and lighten the load of life's challenges and learn simple and easy ways to live a healthy, happy life. You'll gain insight and start to see things in a new way that motivates you. You're invited to hear new, see different, and feel more as Lisa shines the light on living.
Well, hello, everyone. Happy day to you. You're listening to Light on Living with your host, me, Lisa Berry, and we are continuing the series, which is Sacred Hearts Rising, the interview series. I like to call this Beyond the Chapter because it's an opportunity to chat with each one of the co-authors, find out about their chapter, but then beyond what's happening in their lives because of writing the chapter or around in their world, and how they're pulling from the lessons that they've learned, that they've gone through, the stories that's happened since. And today with us is oh my gosh, I almost said Stephanie. It's the next one. We have Rachel Dyer, and she's from over BC here. I'm in Toronto. She's in BC. We're in a little bit of a different time zone. But welcome, Rachel, to the show.
Thank you very much.
Aw, I'm so glad that you are one of the co-authors, and everybody, again, that is Sacred Hearts Rising, the series. And Rachel, you accepted to write and be a part of the series, write the chapter. Is this your first chapter that you've written with any ever?
It isn't. I actually have a chapter in another book, not related to the same subject, that's hopefully coming out later this year. But that was more animal-based, whereas this was more scoliosis-based.
Okay, so now that we're going to jump right into that. Okay, so I know what scoliosis is, but I'm sure many people do not. So you wrote about scoliosis. Can you share with us first, what is scoliosis?
So scoliosis is a curvature of the spine. It can be in, if you can imagine your spine, instead of being straight, is either in an S curve or a C curve or a backward C curve. And that's basically what it is. It's a curvature of the spine. It does affect other parts of the body, but that's what scoliosis is.
Are people born with it, or do they get it from accidents?
So some people are born with it. Some people will develop it later in life due to either age or an accident. But the majority of people, they seem to think, are born with it. And depending on what you read, depends on whether you think it's hereditary or not as well. Right. But I was born with it.
You were born with it. Now, it's going to be my next question. So what is your relationship with this? So you were born with scoliosis. And,
yes.
And then there was a whole life now based on this, and that's where the chapter's coming from. What was it about scoliosis that you wanted to share with people in the chapter?
Well, one of the big things for me is raising awareness, because although I was born with it, I actually didn't get diagnosed till I was 15. Now, this is 30-something plus years ago, so a lot of people didn't know so much about scoliosis as they do now. But for me, one of the main things was to help raise awareness, because often if scoliosis is detected early enough, there is a lot that can be done without having to have surgery, and it's major invasive surgery. So for me, it's kind of spreading the word out there, to everybody, male and female.
Yes. Okay. And now we're talking more like not just awareness, because then we can maybe not prevent it, because if they have it, but prevent, like you said, surgeries that maybe are going to be needed if we let it go too long. And what does somebody suffer? If somebody has this and it's not treated or it gets bad, what kind of condition is a life with scoliosis?
Well, it does differ from person to person. Like some people will have scoliosis and their spine will be in the C or the S curve, and it will stay pretty much in that position their entire lives. Some people aren't affected by it at all. Some people just have to be a little more careful with doing things, because if you fall or have an accident, you can cause more damage to your back. And then in my case, mine was an aggressive form of scoliosis. So I was diagnosed, and within probably 7 months had to have surgery, because the way mine was shifting, it was going to start pressing on my some of my vital organs, and eventually it would have killed me.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, for myself, there was no choice.
Okay. See, that's where I think for me and just my knowledge or history of it, I think that's what's scary is that people think, oh, so, it's not attractive or it's uncomfortable, but no, this can literally not crush you, but,
Oh, yes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess crush you. And that's why this is important. And is there any pregnant women, is there a way to prevent it in the first place, or no, like we don't know about it until they're born?
No, not that I know of anyway. And, if you're born with it, again, that's how it is. If they catch it from a young age, there's so much more they can do that there's no way to prevent it.
Okay, so but you can. So what were the steps that you are teaching people to take? First of all, now they're aware. Now what's step 2? They go, oh my gosh, I think I do have this. Or is there tested? How do they get tested for it?
Well, this is the big thing. So you can go online, and there's lots of good information out there. It'll tell you some of the basic things to look for, which is, are your shoulder blades sort of not sitting at the same level? Do your shoulders not sit at the same level? When you lean forward, do you notice a humping of your back? Because believe it or not, I didn't get diagnosed because I had backache. That was never why I got diagnosed. It was another kind of pain in my shoulder blade why I got diagnosed. So it's not sort of straightforward. It's not, oh, I have back pain, that must be it. Right. Now, of course, if for those listening, it doesn't mean to say if you notice your shoulder blades are out of whack or anything else. It doesn't mean to say you do have scoliosis, but if you notice this, then go to your doctor and ask your doctor to check, because they're the ones. Or I actually got diagnosed by a chiropractor back in the UK. Unfortunately, my doctor didn't diagnose me. But go speak to somebody first. Don't panic and think, oh, I have scoliosis, because there could be 100 other reasons why. Right. But if you just Google scoliosis, it will give you the simple step-by-steps to look for.
Okay, right. It's interesting. My mother did. She had scoliosis, and that was way back then too. So she had the Harrington rod procedure and all these things. And she always had us going to a chiropractor just to keep, maintenance and checking. And I noticed that when I started golfing, I was like, wow, do I ever have, my shoulder blades off? I don't have scoliosis, but so like what you just said, sometimes our shoulder, it's posture. My mother was always on us for posture, which is good. Yes. Very good thing. It's, you can breathe more clearly, you have more energy when you have good, do you have perfect posture now?
No, I still have quite bad posture, because although I had surgery, because mine was so aggressive, I still have quite a severe degree of scoliosis. Oh. So when I have some photos taken of me by the chiropractor leaning forward, and it's very visible that I'm still humped one side. If I lean up against a wall, only one shoulder blade touches. Okay. Now, depending on when they catch it and what the severity is, some people are very corrected. For me, it was more kind of just correcting what they could to keep me alive, really, at the end of the day. Okay. Yeah. So, it's still classed as a severe degree of scoliosis, but it's not life-threatening anymore, which is the most important thing.
Yes, absolutely. And is that so your career, did you base your career around, what can I do because I want to be so mindful? So you were 15 when you got diagnosed, so how did your whole career come about? Because I want you to share with them what you did, what you're doing.
This career didn't come about actually till I emigrated to Canada back in 2006. Okay. I was actually, before I left the UK, I always kept myself fit and active, but I was an interpreter for the deaf in the UK. And when I emigrated here, we do American Sign Language here, and I knew British Sign Language. So it was kind of like, well, I don't want to retrain right now. So I joined my local gym, and and that's how I started working at the gym in the first place, because I joined and I got my PR status, and they said, oh, you're looking for a job? And I said, sure, why not? And so, and it's just interesting because I've been at the gym now for 13 years, and it's been in the last 4 or 5 years that I've kind of had some issues because of the scoliosis. So, I think it's all connected. I think there was a reason I was meant to work in the gym. And, yes. It's keeping me even fitter and healthier than I perhaps would have done.
Right. Do you have clinics? Like, do you think, oh, you know what, because I have a gym and people are coming in, I'm going to have a clinic so that they can get tested to see if they have scoliosis?
You know, we don't right now. I know in the States, they do have some states that actually test it in schools. But what I'm hoping to do eventually is to push it so that there's testing in the schools here. Because it's such an easy test. It literally is a lean forward and have a look at your back. As I say, it doesn't mean to say that it's scoliosis, but it's a really easy test. And for me, I'd like all the schools to implement it, especially for the younger kids, because this is usually the age when it's caught at. So for me, just, to have testing in the schools will be a huge thing.
Okay. Now, first of all, because I want to jump in on this one, how could somebody help you to help do that? Or do you already have a group or a pathway that started this and is doing this?
Well, this is part of why I've spoken on stage just once in the States, but a few times now in Canada, and then also written in the book, because this is how I want to start raising awareness. I am working with a friend to try and figure out the best way to do this and to have it tested in the schools. It's just finding enough hours in the day, and with everything else that's going off in the world right now, it's kind of on the back burner. But it is what I'm working towards. And, so if there is anyone out there that can give me any advice on this, I'd much appreciate it.
Yes, I do have to laugh at you said back burner. Ha. But anyway.
Yeah, no pun intended.
I know. I just love when that happens. But, and speaking of stuff, there are things going on right now. So you just shared with me briefly, how right now you're not able to connect with so many people, or people aren't able to continue what they're doing because you own a gym, which is very collective, lots of people coming together.
Yes, so we chose to close down the gym on the 17th of March.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it will be mandated pretty quickly, although we were practicing self-distancing, so we'd put every other treadmill, we'd shut down every other elliptical, every other bike to try and give people space. And because we are a 24-hour access gym, we don't have the hordes of people in at the same time, but it also came to the point where I need to keep myself safe, my staff members safe, and above all of my members safe.
Yes. And
we just took the option to close the doors last Tuesday evening, which it was a tough decision, but the right one to do, that's for sure.
Right. And so in this way, because you're all about awareness and fitness. And when I say fitness, I really do mean mental fitness, emotional fitness. You love dogs and you're walking with them all the time and staying fit and healthy that way. With the chapter being written, Sacred Hearts Rising, and that being distributed, how are you managing to still continue this awareness path and fit and feeling good and connected online as we move through this?
Well, there was a Sacred Hearts event that was supposed to be happening in May, which has now been postponed.
Yes.
We're hoping it will run in August.
Okay.
So for me, it's still going on stage where I'm able to and invited to and being able to talk about scoliosis. And then I'm hoping when schools start back up and running, which potentially may not be till September now, sort of once everything's calmed down, I'd like to approach the schools locally in my hometown and see if they would be willing to let me go in and just, not necessarily talk even to the kids, but talk to the teachers or even to the parents to try and help raise awareness.
Right.
But yeah, as I say, a lot of this has just temporarily been put on hold.
Right.
So the one thing as well I will say about the book, and because I have family in the UK and in Spain, is that they're also spreading the word through my book or telling people to buy the book so they can, read everybody's stories, but obviously read my story. And that, too, is really helping spread the word.
Yes, there's something about when we write. I was going to ask you about this because this is something that a lot of people can have many different conditions, diseases, illnesses, but it doesn't mean that they're not running around saying, I need people to know about this and have awareness about it. What is it in you? Where does it come from in your heart that this is it's a calling. It's like you have to do this. It's a passion.
I think for me, Although I have to confess, when I was first approached by Brenda to write in the chapter, and I was absolutely, yes, so excited. And then I went home and I was like, what am I doing? I was terrified. But a lot of it for me came down to self-image, because how I see myself is very different to how others see me. And I've struggled with that a lot, especially sort of from my mid-20s onwards. As to how I look. How do I look when, if I wear a tight top? Because, it's kind of hard to describe without seeing it, but I curve off to one side. So I'm very conscious of how I look. Yes. So for me, it was part of my healing process. Sort of being able to put pen to paper, and even talking about it was, sort of let some of those emotions out. And it was part of the healing process for me as well. Because it's really tough on people's body image. It's really, really tough.
That's a big one that you said about sharing how you look. And thank you for sharing that, because some people, they don't. I'm definitely one who cares about that. So when I, go out and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, what will people think or say? Or what are they looking at? Or, so I'm glad that you're sharing and being very honest about that. That is something that you are still going through, that you have to go through, that you see yourself differently than what others do.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is, my friends who know me, especially when they read the chapter, and the one thing they said is, but we don't notice. But I said, it's not what you notice, it's what I notice, it's what I see when I look in the mirror. That for me, and that's a big part of sharing this story as well, not to just raise awareness, but just to let people know that they are still beautiful. People don't always notice what's going on. I mean, I tend to notice in other people because I'm always looking out to see if I think someone's got scoliosis.
Right.
My scoliosis radar is always up, which is, bizarre. But for me, it's, the struggle with self-image has been a really, really big part.
Did writing the chapter help you through any of that? Are you less harsh on yourself? Are you?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I have to say, when I was writing the chapter, that was really difficult emotionally, because it brought up a lot of stuff I hadn't even thought about for years. Stuff, I guess, I'd tucked away, the emotions, the trauma of it and everything. So the putting pen to paper, it wasn't putting the pen to paper that was hard. It was putting the pen to paper knowing people were going to read it. So for me, that to start off was a struggle. But I think once I'd done it and sort of reread it and, had the final piece, I was super proud of myself. But then I realized from start to finish of the chapter how far I have come, and how much kind of putting it down has helped me emotionally as well. It's really hard to explain, because you think, oh, well, you write a chapter and suddenly everything feels better, and it's not that, but it's part of the healing process. And for me, writing the chapter, and since writing the chapter and connecting with people, in regards to that, it's just been a huge healing process for me.
I'm so glad you're sharing the way you are in that. And Brenda Hammond, everyone, is the one who's put these series together. They're in the middle of their fourth book. They've got the 3 books out now for under the series of Sacred Hearts Rising. And what you just said was so huge. You literally went through from the beginning, like, yes, I'm going to write it, to, oh my gosh, what am I doing, to, wow, there's a lot of stuff that I have to live through again, to, oh my gosh, no, people are going to read it, but still such a beautiful choice. It sounds like it was the absolutely right choice for you to make. No regrets.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it was interesting. One of my very good friends back in the UK, she sent me a private message, and I've known her probably 20 years. And she said to me, I never knew that's how you felt. She said, you always came across as, confident and happy and upbeat and everything else. She said, I never knew you felt that way. And I said to her, because you don't always see what's on the inside of people. People tend to put on this image of, yes, I'm doing great and nothing bothers me, and inside they're having their struggles. So it was kind of interesting for, when she messaged me and said that, she's like, wow, I just never knew. And she said, I'm so grateful that you shared that. It's just, it's given her a new outlook on on how she meets people and how she deals with people, because you just never know what's going on the inside either.
Right. Now, has that deepened your relationship with her, your friendship?
It has, although I don't get to see her very often because she is in the UK.
Right.
It absolutely has, because it was almost like she saw me in a, not that she ever saw me in a bad way, but she saw me as a whole different person. So,
right.
yeah, I believe it has.
I do think that that's something about anthologies and compilations and series like this, that it gives people a way to connect with others in a way, like you feel safe. I mean, it's hard, as you mentioned, but when you're writing, at least you're by yourself and you can take the time. How long did it take you to write the chapter?
It probably took me a couple of months.
Okay.
To sort of narrow it down to just kind of get the important points. Came fairly easy with the help from the editor as well, because apparently I do not know how to use good grammar when writing a book. Because I'd already been speaking about it, I already had my notes, so I had a lot of information down already, things that I'd remembered and stuff. So it was a little easier because I had a lot of information already. But to actually put the chapter together was probably between 2 and 3 months, I would say.
Okay. I like that you said that I already had the information. So you basically had a message. You knew what you wanted to share, put out there, but then it was a matter of fitting the personal pieces in and around it.
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
And I actually found I didn't even know I'd kept it. I was going through my shed trying to look for something, and I found a box, and I actually kept a journal the year I was in hospital, which I knew I'd done, but I didn't know I'd packed it up and shipped it to Canada when I emigrated. So I actually found that as well, it was so interesting to read as well. I was like, oh, I don't remember that.
Yes.
Or it was like,
what?
oh, I remember that now. Yeah, it was. Yeah, so I've kept it. I thought I can't part with this. It's such a big piece of my life.
What a journal! Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, I got all my get well cards, even have a telegram in there as well. So.
Oh, that is so sweet. Now, actually, did you say a year? You were in the hospital for a year?
Oh no, I wasn't in there for a year, but it was the journey through the year.
Yes.
I went into the hospital in the January. I was in there for about 2.5 weeks. And then I was in plaster it's done very differently now before anyone starts to panic hearing this. I was in plaster I was in plaster, so the whole top half of my body was in plaster for 6 months.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So the first one was we call it plaster of Paris, which I couldn't take off or do anything, and it had these pieces that came over my shoulders and rubbed my chin raw. It was awful. Mm-hmm. And then the second one, I was able to take off just to have a shower. But I had to, I couldn't move. I had to literally dry myself and get the plaster back on again.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was for about 6 months afterwards. And then, it's probably a year or two of full healing. But it was about 2 years after the surgery that my surgeon said, that's it, I don't need to see you anymore unless you have any problems. So, yeah.
Quite the emotional journey going through not having movement, almost like a prison that you're, wrapped up in, like this physical prison reminding you every day. So I feel like there's such an emotional component. Do you having gone through it, you have a level of being able to coach somebody, but is that something that you offer that coach anybody through emotional stuff?
I haven't done, but if somebody asked me, obviously I'm not a professional on this, but if somebody just needed some support because they're wearing a Scotty brace or anything else, because I have in the last few years worn a Scotty brace, so because I am having some complications, unfortunately, from the scoliosis, but, if anyone just wanted to reach out to have somebody to talk to, I would be more than willing to talk them through it, because there's nothing better than talking to somebody that has been through it. Mm-hmm. Doesn't matter whether it's to the same degree or whatever. Someone who's been through it and knows what it feels like is. So if anyone wanted to reach out to me, they'd be more than welcome to.
Okay, and how would they do that? First of all, let's do that. Let's invite people to you right now. How would they do that?
I guess right now I could just tell them to email me. That would probably be the easiest way.
Okay, so what? Let's give them your Facebook. So that would just be Rachel Dyer, D-Y-E-R.
Yeah, Rachel Dyer, D-Y-E-R.
Yeah.
And they'll probably know if they've got the right Rachel Dyer because it's full of dog pictures.
I love that. That's how I always know.
Yeah. And it'll say from British Columbia as well. So, yeah, they're more than welcome to reach out to me on Facebook. Even if I don't have them as a friend, they can private message me, and you can still see the message. And then they can tell me they're trying to connect with me because of the scoliosis, just so I know it's a genuine person. So,
yes.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to do it.
I think that's a really good way. And they can also see the active life that you do live, and you find ways. I mean, like you run a fitness gym and you out walking your dogs and you're doing your things. And I think that's really encouraging for people who might be suffering from any kind of back issue, like bone issue, postural issue.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And, you know, you do just sometimes you have to take the good days with the bad days. But I always say to everybody, just keep moving. If you're able to, even if you can just get up and walk, then get up and walk, go do something. Because the more you, especially for me, I can't lay in bed for 3 days. Like, I have to get up and move, because when I'm not moving, that's when everything starts to seize up. So,
yes.
And, you know, I appreciate right now it's not easy for people because there are restrictions, but, you know, if you've got some steps, walk up and down your steps 20 times. There's always something you can do to keep yourself moving.
Exactly. Motion is lotion. I like that. There you go.
I like that, Lisa.
Yeah, it's simple. I love it. Well, I just want to say thank you so much for being a part of this series, for writing the chapter, and really following and listening to your heart, like knowing that you have a mission. That it's such a great way to lead people in the world and saying that they have value no matter what they're going through. So a big thank you to you, Rachel, for showing up
and thank you to you as well for having me on, for having all these ladies on as well, because we all have different stories, and I think it's so important to get everything out there and just share what we know and help support others.
Yes, that is exactly helping to support others. Well, thank you so much. And we are going to be bringing on Stephanie next. So come back, everybody, for another inspiring and helpful story.
The best of the holistic, spiritual, and conscious world. OMTimes Radio. IOM-FM. Being a radio host on IOM-FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
Have you bought into the idea that you have to work hard for your money, that business is hard? I will share some dynamic access consciousness tools to get you out of your own way so you can create a business that actually succeeds. Join me, Simone Millicers, on The Joy of Business at 4 p.m. Mondays Eastern.
Hi, it's Olivia Munn with my shelter pets, Frankie and Chance. Say hi, guys. When I adopted them, I discovered that they both have incredible personalities. Chance's sole purpose in life is to love and to be loved. Frankie is a little bit of a scoundrel and always entertaining. They're a little bit of a lot of things, but they're all pure love. Adopt pure love at theshelterpetproject.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council, the Humane Society of the United States, and Maddie's Fund.
Oh, welcome back, everyone. You're here with us on Light on Living, and I'm your host, Lisa Berry, as we continue and wrap up the series for Sacred Hearts Rising. And I must share that this is one of, I find, the most empowering topics. I'm literally giving today's guest and show here a topic, which is stopping the cycle. And I love this. Feels so empowering to do this, Stephanie. I'm going to bring you on and introduce you, but I just wanted to share that with everybody right now. If you feel that you are in a cycle and you think it cannot be stopped, or that you're too old, or that it's been too rough, or it's impossible, please stay tuned and stay with us for this next half hour. This is such an inspiring story. So first of all, hello there, Stephanie.
Hi, thank you. I'm so excited.
Oh, I'm really happy that you're here, and I want to share with everybody about you. You've written, I love your bio. It has a bit of a story in it. I'm gonna share that with people right now so they can say, yes, I need to really tune in and listen with my heart with this. So everybody, my guest here, who's a co-author in the Sacred Hearts Rising series, Stephanie Leach. And Stephanie Leach, as a young girl, Stephanie lived through emotional and verbal abuse at the hands of the person she loved the most, her mother. She came to realize that this was a generational issue and a pattern that would continue to play itself out if she didn't change course. Stephanie made it her mission to start learning, growing, and healing. After 2 decades of conscious work, she has stopped the cycle, healed herself, learned to put up healthy boundaries, and stand up for herself. What she could never have anticipated in the process is that her healing rippled outward, helping and healing her mom and others in the process. Stephanie lives in Nanaimo, British Columbia. We've got 2 BC ladies today with her husband, Ken. She loves kayaking and entertaining, traveling and hiking with her dog, Libby. We got dog people. She continues to work on personal growth and has a dynamic and passionate energy for sharing her personal experiences of learning, growing, and healing. And most of all, Stephanie is grateful to have the support of Ken, her stepson, Jay, and his wife, Amy. And Stephanie, I love that we kind of know that good news at the end, like you were successful. You stopped cycles of abuse.
Yeah, it has been a long time. It's been a couple decades, actually, of working on myself and realizing over time that I can't change anyone else. I can't change and outcomes or expectations. I just have to let them go and just work on myself, and never, ever could have expected or anticipated the change that came this past year. It's been amazing.
I would love for you to I know we only have a short time, but I would love for you to share just a little, because when you told me that story, you could tell the intensity, and it was almost like it's like a fairy tale story, and I love it.
Yeah. It's my mom, it was a really challenging relationship. She went through a lot of stuff in her life growing up, which had her leading a very fear-based life, and then brought it into, thought she was just going to walk away and have this wonderful life when she left that, and wherever we go, there we are. It's inside of us, and she brought it with her to her marriage, and after I was born, things started turning, and I got sick, and she was really bogged down and stressed, and it just all came back, this negative hamster wheel. And I went through my life trying to help her be happy. I just wanted her to be happy. She lived a very, very small life, and my dad was happy to allow that, to just be there with her. And I think when I got into my 20s was when I really said, ooh, I have to start doing things for myself here. And the universe actually kind of, I believe, said, okay, I got to get you away from here. I got to get you away from her so that you can do your healing and growth apart. And I started in about 1997 in earnest, just put it out to the universe and said, I need help. I need to be able to move forward somehow, because I'm taking on this negativity. I'm always looking at things negatively. And I was a happy person. I had a good life, but there was just this weight weighing me down. And just, I don't know what to do. So things started happening when I put it out there, things started coming to me, opportunities that, just was like, okay, well, open that door and check on that. Like different modalities, energy healing and working with the law of attraction, and just things just slowly change. But it wasn't until I really got, my dad died in 2001, and then I was dealing with just my mom, and she was in Vancouver. I was in Calgary, Alberta at the time, and there was a big distance, and I would go to visit her, and everything was just negative in the house. It was fear and anger and bitterness and resentment and feeling abandoned, but she was causing this all herself. And so I was working on myself, but I was dealing with this on a regular basis. So I don't know. I get kind of caught up in this. I don't know, how you'd like me to move on from here, but I
I love the picture that you're offering, because a lot of people are right there and they're like, yeah, but it's them, not me, and I can't change them and I can't handle doing this. So I really appreciate where you are in the story here.
Because I am, and I see other people, and I know with me, it's like I'm in this, and I'm like, how do I get out? I would pull myself up by the bootstraps, and then I would be on, positive and affirmations and great energy, and then, nothing would really things wouldn't change the way I wanted them to. All these expectations that I was putting out and outcomes that I wanted, and then bang, I'd get down. And then I'd say, have a little pity party, and then I'd kick myself in the butt and say, okay, you got to get yourself back up again. And then I'd get back up. And I went through this cycle for like years and years and years. And I'd go to visit my mom, and then I would come back, and I would just have to take a couple days to decompress from this ugly black energy. And a lot of people would have walked away. They would have just walked away. I was an only child. I never, ever thought that, because I knew that in some of the healing work I'd done, I realized that she did the best she could with what she had. She loved me and still loves me. And it was me who had to change my outlook and heal myself. And I learned as things came to me, I worked with a counselor a number of years ago to learn how to stand up for myself and put up healthy boundaries, how to take account for myself, and knowing that I can't change her. I don't know what the outcome is going to be for her, but I can't change her. I have to try and live for myself. And so all the things I did, I took the Erickson College coaching program, not to coach others, but to learn for me, to learn more things. I just kept wanting to heal and grow and learn more. And so, over the past few years is when things really started to kind of change, and we moved to Nanaimo. I would take a ferry over to Vancouver once a month. Mom would be really negative, but as I started doing the coaching, or doing the counseling, I learned to stand up, and I said to her, I can't stay overnight with you anymore, Mom. I'm going to stay at a friend's, and I will come during the day and spend the day with you. And she said at one point, I think you hate me. And I said, no, I don't hate you, Mom. I love you. But I think you and I both know that I can't stay here in the weeds with you, deep in this negativity that you're in. I can't stay here and serve you in any way or support you. And so I'll go for the evening. We'll both start fresh in the morning. And so she said, oh, okay. And I think, she got it, but she didn't get it. But she started to see how I was standing up for myself and knowing that I had to do what I had to do. And that's when things started to happen. And a year ago today, is when I got her over here to Nanaimo. She had never traveled in her life, never taken vacation. We never took vacation. She was scared of anything she couldn't control, right? Because she'd been through such an abusive childhood, always trying to control and perfect. And she'd never been, it was a 2-hour ferry ride, never been to Vancouver Island. So yes, it was a year ago today that I got her here. March 5th was when I went over. She was 79 pounds, anemic. She was starving. We had been bringing her food, getting friends to bring food and that. And she was such a downfall. And the thing is, we couldn't help her before, right? I couldn't help her because I went to the doctor, and the doctor said, she's of sound mind. She's irrational, but she's of sound mind. And you don't know how many people are like this, and we can't do anything for them if they are not cooperative. And she lived in a townhouse, a 1,200 square foot townhouse, and she couldn't get out to shopping. She didn't drive, nothing. So I literally went and took her to the hospital. She had a blood transfusion. She was 79 pounds. I really believe that the universe, whatever higher power, you think of, came in and said, okay, you wanna do this? You wanna help her? I've gotten her where she needs to be, so she can't resist anymore.
Yes.
Now it's up to you to do the work. And I did. I changed. I I got her over to the island. I got her a suite in a seniors community where she has her meals. She has independent living. It's just changed her life, and it's changed my life because I sold her house. I got money into a financial plan that works for her. I don't know how it's working right now with things, but I mean, it works for her. And, you know, the healing has happened, heart and soul. The ripple effect is that she would have died in Vancouver if we had not intervened. She would have died bitter, lonely, isolated, angry, jealous, resentful, and she would have died feeling abandoned because she pushed people away, because she didn't feel she deserved better, because she felt she had to do everything on her own. And now, and I would have felt terrible if she died that way, you know, I mean, I would have known I did all I could. But now we've healed heart and soul level. And I was only doing this for me, to heal me.
Right.
But in doing it, it's healed us both. And she now, when she dies, she's 88 years old. When she dies, she will die knowing that she is loved, that she is cared for, that I'm there for her. The resentment, the bitterness, the anger, all that she had in her whole life has kind of dissolved. She has no reason for it anymore. Sure, she still lives fear-based, but that is gone. So it's really at soul level. I mean, I am amazed by the story. I still get goosebumps, and you can tell, I think, by my voice that I just want to scream it from the rooftops. It's amazing.
Yes. You know, I love it. Well, we're all going to die. It's just a matter of how. Like how are we going to die? Not how we're going to die, but how we feel leaving this planet. Are we, like what you said? And that's a big recognition. Like we can all actually put ourselves in that position going, okay, well, wait, do I really want to be holding anger and resentment and blame or worthlessness, or abandonment? Oh my gosh, and that you knew and realized that it was so important to you that you didn't have, but you didn't want her to have that you said, I've got to make some changes now. I want to go just revisit there. How long or how hard was it, and how long you've been thinking about it that you knew you had to make changes, like, okay, I can't spend the night, I need to start fresh, I need to have a good night's sleep? Like how many times did you want to, but then still stayed overnight until the time you could do it?
Well, you know, once I made the decision, there had been a little altercation about 3 years ago when I went over to visit Mom, and she, you know, it's like a child, a little toddler who can't explain themselves, so they have a little temper tantrum and they jump up and down. And she had gotten into this, and I said, okay, I think I really have to leave now, Mom. You know, we're not getting anywhere here. And I'll call you when I get home. And, you know, I love you. And I got on the ferry, and I got home, and I called a clinical counselor that day. And I said, I've done a lot of healing, growth, done a ton of stuff, but I'm at a crossroads where I can't take this anymore, and I don't know how to move forward successfully with this. It's getting to a different level. And I worked with her, and she was kind of a Jungian counselor. So it was working with, you know, Carl Jung with dreams and the archetypal mother, father. It was really cool. And she recognized all the work that I had done and said, okay, we got to kind of key in on this. You need to learn setting up these healthy boundaries and standing up for yourself. You really are still caught in getting pulled into her and taking on her negative energy. And so once I did that, it was like right away she said, you can't go and see her. You have to take some time. And I took 5 months, and I did not go and visit her. And she got the message pretty loud. I mean, I would talk to her and say, you know, I love you. And, you know, but I would, you know, no, I can't come and visit right now. And I just, you know, it was challenging, but I knew that I had to start standing up. And then with that, I was working with my counselor and working on standing up for myself and learning that and knowing that although it was challenging, I had to do this. This was the tough love. I had to learn not only for me and for my mom, because what I said to my husband is, when I learned to stand up for myself and put up healthy boundaries, I'm not just doing it with my mom. I'm doing it with everybody. So I said, you're probably going to start seeing me doing it with you as well. Because no one else is changing. It's me who's changing.
Right. The dynamic of all relationships change.
Exactly.
And it was positive, though, that you felt in all of your relationships, like even with like your husband, was it a positive thing?
Yeah, because I think, he and I were getting into a bit of a trap where lots of times we were kind of having little, you get into conversation where you get snippy and you don't always treat that person the way you would treat other people. And so I started saying, you know what, we're not in a really nice place here. We got to start, honoring each other differently in our conversations. And we kind of, and it took time. I mean, and we, if I felt I was being a little bit disrespectful or whatever, I'd kind of just put my hand up. And so he recognized, I'd say nothing, put my hand up, and he'd be like, oh yeah. So it took time. And, we still work on it, but it's really changed. And it just takes one person, right? We can't change other people, but we can talk to them and say, this is how I feel, and this is, what's really bothering me, or this is bothering me, and can we work on this? And it's instead of being snippy and, pointing out a person's flaws, right? When we have our own flaws.
Yes, and blame and stuff. And this is so interesting that you decided to, you chose, this is the topic I want to write about. Do you move around the world now trying to teach people this, or was it just personal for you to share this chapter? Or is there something bigger that you'd like for it now to happen?
It was probably for about, it's been 1997 when I actually started telling people. And I was a sales rep, and I traveled around, had a territory out of town and in town and that. And but I started saying to people, I'm going to speak on overcoming obstacles and adversities because I've got my own. And there's people who've climbed Everest, and they tell their stories. And there's people who've done, big, huge things that are amazing, but they're not relatable to me. This is everyday life that I think other people could relate to. Not everybody, because a lot of people hear my story or they, and they find it kind of dark because they don't understand. But so many, I think, can relate. It's everyday stuff that we can all learn from. And I started saying that. And I backed down a lot because I was never ready. I was never ready. I still had the hurt, healing, and the growth to do. And but it kept coming back. I got 3 packages from 3 different companies, paid. One was 9 months, one was 10 months, there was another one that was almost a year, over the 20 years. And again, I recognize that was probably the universe saying to me, okay, you want to tell your story? You want to start making changes in your life? Here you go. And I would start to investigate and do things, but I wasn't ready. I wasn't ready because I didn't want to hurt my mom.
Yes.
I wasn't ready to go out, and I felt that if I did, it could be a platform that could one day be big. I don't know why, but I just felt that. And I didn't want to hurt my mom because I knew she loved me and she'd done the best she could with what she had. And, now she's at the point where she doesn't hear well, she doesn't see well, she's 88, I've realized that it's time for me to do that, to tell my story. So it took me, when I started a couple years ago, really saying, okay, I need to get out there, I need to do some things. And I was doing things. I was talking to people and that and sharing story a bit. But when I got into the Sacred Hearts Rising group and shared my story, it was a story that I'd always wanted to tell. It was a story of the juxtaposition of my mom and I, and her never being able to heal, her never being able to ask for help. And me as a little, coming from where she came from, of watching her mother being beaten on a regular basis and all the trauma she felt and not being able to control anything and not being able to ask for help, and me wanting from I was a little girl, knowing there was something wrong, something not right, that I needed to always ask for help. And there was help available. And I didn't know how or I didn't know where, but I asked. And so there was this marrying of the love of my mom and my mom loving me, but needing to get out from underneath her and break this cycle and take on my life and change. And it was there. It was always there for me.
I love that there's there's a theme that's about breaking the cycle that you're breaking is actually of not asking for help, and the cycle is of not being able to stand up for yourself, but you need to ask sometimes for help to know how to, and for others to help show you so you can see for yourself that it's safe to do so.
Yeah, and you can, and for me, it was asking for help not to anyone else, but asking, just putting it out there to the universe and saying, I need help. I don't know where, I don't know how, but please show me opportunities, show me ways that I can recognize, so that it's right there for me. It's a door to open. It's a person coming to me saying, oh, like, what about this? Have you, thought of this? And then I can go in and check and see if I want to pursue that help or not. Or it could be a person that is helping and mentors me or whatever. Just putting it out there. But I've always found that when I ask for help, people start to come into my life, and things start to come into my life that weren't there before, or that were there but come back again, and more as I'm ready to grow. And it's like energy healing and affirmations and different ways that I've had of growing and healing. Things will come to me in different ways, so that I go, oh yeah, I remember that from before, but oh, I get it now.
Yes.
Or I'm ready for this now that I wasn't ready for it before. Like the surrender process that I've taken on in the past year that helped me get through with my mom. I knew it, but you hear surrender and you go, yeah, right, surrender. How do you do that? Let go. Yeah, right. But I learned through Michael Singer's 8 audio program, The Path to Surrender, the Untethered Soul, I think, in action. And that took me, and it leads you through the whole path of learning how to really surrender and let go of expectations and outcomes. And it's not surrendering to let people walk over you. It's surrendering to letting go of outcomes, knowing that I can't control them. I can control myself, and that's all. And that's really helped me through this whole year with my mom, and I've really taken on, and right now, with what we're going through right now, it's been a year, and what we're going through now with the whole coronavirus thing, I've just let go of expectations and outcomes and said, all I can control is me, and I'm doing the best for what I can do, and I believe there's lessons to be learned, and I'll be fine.
I love that. That's there's a lot of trust. And when sometimes I believe it's like we stand up for ourselves by showing that we trust ourselves. And I love that that's what you really were demonstrating. And if just because we have about 3 minutes to wrap up here, I first of all say, what would your request be, your universal hope request that you're putting out there to the world right now by coming on the show and by writing the chapter? What would you love for it to show up and how are you supporting people?
I want people to know that they can take control of their lives, that if they're feeling they're down and negative, that they can keep going. They can just pull themselves up, and there is hope that you can learn to let go and to overcome these obstacles that we have. That life is about obstacles. That's what the lessons are in our life. Is these? Yes. It's truly all lessons. I see life as a game of snakes and ladders. Sometimes we're down, we pull ourselves up, we get back up the ladder. It's ups and downs, and that's what my life is about: learning and growing and healing, and having fun and having relationships is part of the journey as well. But being the best I can be, learning to always be the best I can be, and have fun in my life, and help share this journey that I have to help others heal and to share. And if anyone wants to talk to me, read my chapter, get in touch with me if they're not sure, if they want some help, I would love to be there for them.
Oh, and I think that's a great way to let everybody know. So first of all, this is Stephanie Leach, and you can read her chapter. Pick up the book, Sacred Hearts Rising, or connect with you. Jump on Facebook. Look for Stephanie. We've got more people in BC with dogs here. I love this theme. That I did not plan that for today. That was so cool. Rachel Dyer and yourself, two lovely authors. Two lovely authors in the book, Sacred Hearts Rising by Brenda Hammond, has really brought together an incredible group. And I just, I'm so happy to be able to do the series with everybody and have you come on. And I just think that's the most encouraging thing to say to people. Like, you can stop the cycle, and it's done with love, and it starts with you, and it pretty much doesn't end with you, but you're the one in control.
And non-judgment. And yeah.
Yes. The non-judgment. So, well, thank you so much for being a part of this show, Stephanie. I just love the encouragement and the love. There's a lot of love that's coming from you, from self-love, from inner love, that just shines out so brightly.
Thank you. Thank you, Lisa. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. Well, great time to share. So everybody right now, we're so happy to have had you here with us. This has been an incredible series. We're really just unfolding. It's love. It's back to love. It always seems to go back to self-love, but just know that love, it's because, yes, passion for just connecting.
Passion. Yep.
Oh, I love that. Passion and compassion. So everybody, here you go. It's where can you feel and find and put out more compassion in your life right now, today? I think that's the best step that we'll start with. And everybody, we'll see you again. We're going to start another series next month, but enjoy your day. Feel it and feel love all throughout it. Okay. Thank you guys so much. You've been listening to Light on Living here with me, Lisa Barry. Bye, everyone. Bye, Steph.